Hello, guys. Welcome. So good to be back here again. So today we want to look at the effect of the rate cuts on indices, gold, Bitcoin, currencies, and of course, what to expect this week. On Friday, that was on July 3rd, we saw a very strong employment, non-farm NFP report. I mean, we're expecting 111,000, right? But what we actually have that came out that day was 147,000. That is a better, more than expected a report that we're expecting. That the whole trading industry, let me put it that way, is expecting for this report. So we had 147,000 as against us expecting 111,000. So then we need to look at what does that tell us? What does that ensure that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates? I mean, that's a question on everybody's mind. That's why so far this year we've been seeing dollar, losing ground. You see, the dollar has been on the downward trend for about almost 5 months now because a lot of people kept expecting the Federal Reserve to cut rate. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, has insisted that he would rather stand aside and watch what the market would do. Reports such as NFP, CPI are major determinants of whether they're going to call it or not. Though there's a lot of pressure coming from the president of the United States for him to call it. However, having said that, let's check what to expect. Let's check what Google say and what to expect. So a strong NFP report released on July 3rd, that was on Friday, showed the addition of 147,000 jobs in June, which actually exceed the expectation, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, that has really, diminished the likelihood of the Federal Reserve cutting interest rate in July. Um, we're having a major FOMC report coming in July 29 and July 30. That is where we're expecting that decision to be made whether the Federal Reserve will cut rate. What that means is that what this actually means, interpretation, what this actually means that because we have a very strong job report, which means that companies are not in distress. So there's no need for the Federal Reserve to cut rates. And if you look at the CMEF Fed Watch, this data that we have here, what you see that is that the likelihood of Federal Reserve cutting rates by the end of this month is very low. As you can see, it's 4.7. Actually, before that day, the likelihood was around 6 point something percent. I mean, what I mean is that before Friday, before that job report came out, we have the likelihood of about 6.5%. But after that job report came out, and it was a very good job report, that likelihood actually reduces significantly. That means where the likelihood of them not cutting rate, of keeping rate at 4 to 5, between 4 to 5 and 450, is about 95%. All right, that means that we might not see a rate cut. I won't say that. I think the dollar is still very bearish. We still see that dollar is still crashing. Although on Thursday, or that this was on Thursday and Friday, when from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we saw price keep pushing back onto the upside. But having said that, this is still looking super bearish. However, I believe strongly that if you have a very good CPI next week, we are going to have CPI release next week as well. If it favors the dollar, we might actually see price keep rallying to the upside. If you look at the weekly time frame and you check my, I've had this year long. I don't know, for so many months I've had this trend line drawn. So what we can see is that price actually came to touch this trend line and bounces up. This on this weekly time frame. So I'm going to be paying attention to the support around there to see what price is going to do, if price is going to take out the support. All right. Having said that, let's check what gold is doing. We saw gold actually pull back a little bit some couple of weeks ago. I think about 2-3 weeks that we having pullback. But then last week we've been seeing some bounce. So if you go to daily time frame, you will see that we actually bounce off nicely from there. Okay, I mean, this is actually showing that gold has been the bullish movement of gold is likely to continue. And then, as you can see, prices still keep pushing to the upside. Like I always say on this channel, I'm very, very careful about selling gold. You know, if you if you have been following the gold movement for some months now, you see the way it's been moving. It's been super bullish. So trying to pick the top for gold is a recipe for disaster if you don't know what you're doing. All right. I would say that let's check Bitcoin. Bitcoin also has been bullish. 2 weeks ago when I posted a video here, I actually mentioned very, very, very clearly that as long as this this high, this resistance is still in effect, I'll be very careful buying Bitcoin around this zone. Okay, as you know, I'll be very, very careful if I'm buying. I actually took a buy here and I'm out, on my short position. But right now, I'm not holding any day trading Bitcoin right now. All right, except the ones I'm just holding for the long term. But right now, the way it is, I'm expecting if price doesn't take out this high, I'll be very careful trying to take a buy around this zone. Why? Because there's been a very strong sell-off anytime price come to this zone around 111,000, which is the all-time high of Bitcoin. However, the reports coming out of the crypto industry is very, very bullish for Bitcoin. For example, we have they just signing the Senate, they just signing the stable coin bill some couple of days ago, last week or 2 weeks ago, which is very, very bullish for Bitcoin. And that's why we see there's a massive institutional buying of Bitcoin, especially. So, and Bitcoin has been very, very, very bullish. But however, for short term trade, I won't be jumping on a buy around this zone until I see a clear breakout. Probably I see a clear breakout of this zone. The price probably break and retest, and the proper, if I see a proper candle forming bottom around the zone, I'll be thinking of adding, taking a buy, for the short term. That's for Bitcoin. All right. I want to say that let's check what currency has been doing. I want us to look at pounds USD. We saw pounds USD pull back a little bit on this week, and then I think I took some sell. I'm seeing some sell in pounds USD. My stop loss is above this zone. I'm expecting price to hold steady around this zone, for pounds USD. Okay, so that's my position for pounds USD. As you can see on 4 hour time frame, price is pulling back. However, for Euro USD has been super, super bullish. And if you go to the higher time frame or the daily time frame, we actually saw a slight pullback, last week too. But if you look at the weekly time frame, this is looking like we are in a no man's island because Euro USD are actually taking out the major, resistance, even on the higher time frame or the weekly time frame. As you can see, price just keep pushing and pushing to the upside. Price just keep pushing and pushing to the upside. We took out this high. All right. So for me to really, really, really start taking a major sell on Euro USD, I have to see price pull back, on this higher time frame. And however, I think we have one of the major reasons why Euro has been very bullish is because of this tariff issue that is still going on. The president of the United States has promised to continue to increase tariff from the Eurozone by July 9. He has promised to go back to the status quo. He gave them a break before for them to make a deal. I think some couple of days ago, that was last week, he came out to say that deal has fallen through, that he's going to continue to increase tariff for for the European Union. So and that's why he said everybody keeps jumping on a buy for euro. That's why euro has been very super bullish as compared to other major USD pair. Let's look at USD CHF. As been, of course, because the dollar is weak, we've been on the downside. However, for me, I'm watching price to, if I see a major bounce up from this zone, probably I'll be taking a buy on USD future. Let's go see what the JPY peers have been doing. We have the pounds JPY as well. It's been super bullish, as you can see. I mean, we've been on the upside, for the most part for this year as well, because why the Japanese yen has been weak. So last week we saw a little pullback around this zone, but then price has been for the most part has been on the upward trend. Same thing with if you check what Euro JPY has been doing as well. I mean the same pattern. The same pattern. If you go check the JPY index, I want us to quickly look at the JPY index before. I don't want this video to be too long because I've seen a lot of people complain about the video being too long. All right, you see that price has been pulling back for the JPY pairs as well, and that's why we saw, although we have a bounce here on Friday, that's why we saw a little pullback for the pound JPY and Euro JPY. But for the most part, we've been super bearish for the JPY pairs, and that's why we've been looking down as well. Lastly, I want us to look at indices. Let's look at I want us to look at the Dow Jones for the stock. The report that came out last week was very good for them for indices and stock, and that's why price has been on the uptrend for that's for Dow Jones Industrial Average. S&P 500 as well as kept just pushing and pushing and pushing. I was expecting it to go pull back. Probably I can join this move, but then you can see this massive gap. Price just keep printing your time high. The same thing with Nasdaq. Price has just been on the bullish side. So we saw price creating a little bit new all-time high for the Nasdaq. All right, so I'll be calling it a day. Yeah. So if you have not joined our Telegram channel, there's a link somewhere in the description. Ensure you join us. Have a beautiful trading week. Thank you.